Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and this is a bit of press conference reaction. We've had the post-match reaction from Erik ten Hag, so we thought we'd have a look at it, get into it. Normally, me and Joe Smith will do a bit of an analysis of the game's events following a game, but let's face facts, there were no events, and Joe's not here anyway, so there's not much to analyse. So we thought, let's have a look at what's been said in the press conference, and also, in the wider context, what does this mean about the future for Erik ten Hag? Because we heard from Sir Jim Ratcliffe the other day. He was interviewed by Dan Roan for the BBC, who asked him about Erik ten Hag's future, who asked him what was going to happen there. So we've got some quotes from Sir Jim Ratcliffe, we've got quotes from Erik ten Hag, and I think if we look at those and look at what else is being said by some journalists as well, we can maybe give ourselves a better idea of what the future may hold for Erik ten Hag and Manchester United. First things first though, obviously, get involved in the chat and the comments, hit that like button, and if you're not doing already, make sure you are subscribing to the channel. Loads of people in the comments already. Ginge says INEOS are gutless. A says, keep your head, INEOS, while all around you lose theirs. Stick to the plan. Andy Oates says, sack him tonight. Bernardino says, we kept them to F all chances. It's not much, but it's better. Jal Malbin says, we have regressed as a team. They pushed forward their meeting for tomorrow. So if I was Erik ten Hag, I would be starting to pack my bags. That's interesting about that meeting. We're going to have a look at that in a minute. See when this meeting apparently was already planned, so it's got nothing to do with the manager's future. The manager's future, I should say. But you'd be amazed if that wasn't on the agenda. And also, if it is on the agenda, what are they going to say about the manager's future? Has today given Erik ten Hag a stay of execution, a reprieve, however you want to word it, or is it almost meaningless? Get involved in the chat and the comments. Here's what the manager had to say after the game in his post-match press conference. He was asked, you can see there, how do you reflect on the performance and result after a difficult week? He's looking at the positives. This is our fourth clean sheet of this season, and that tells you something about the control we have. In and out possession, we are organised very well. In many games so far, we create loads of chances. Today, we didn't create that much, but we had the chances with Rashford before half-time, and after half-time, we had a free kick from Bruno on the crossbar, and then also we have to see that in the end, when we defend like we did today, very solid, that you also have some luck in the end. They created probably the best chance of the game with the deflected shot and block from Diogo. Then he gets to the juicy bit. Have you spoken to Sir Jim Ratcliffe or Dan Ashworth or Omar Barada since the game? Let's not forget there was those images, the footage of Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, all there at Villa Park, sat with Fergie as well. I don't know if Fergie's got anything to say on the matter, but all the big wigs were there, who, Erik ten Hag's bosses, if you will. He was asked about if he spoke to any of them, and he says, I speak continually with them, and just after the game, I have to do my job, talk with the players, manage the players, and answer questions for you. So basically, no, is the answer to that. Do you expect to have talks with them in the coming days? I think that is the question we all want to know, really. Is he going to talk to them? Is there anything planned? Is there going to be a meeting? And what does that meeting mean for the future of Erik ten Hag? He says, we always talk. Oh, that. Well, we always talk. Yeah, okay, that's just the non-answer. Every week, I would say every day we talk. So, yeah, I expect I would speak to them. So that doesn't really tell you anything about what he's thinking when it comes to his future. Fahad Hussein is in the chat. He says, Jay, the question is, can we still salvage this season with a changing manager? For me, the answer is a resounding yes. Right, good point here. He's asked again, or sort of asked another question here, Erik ten Hag. So you feel the ownership are solidly behind you? I don't have any idea that it's different because they should have told me. We communicate very open, very transparent. I kind of sympathise with him there a little bit, Erik ten Hag, because if he's going to come out and say, yes, they're 100% behind me, then it might look a little bit presumptuous maybe. So he has to sort of give a bit of a non-answer, which is kind of what he does, where he says, yes, they are, but I've got no reason to think otherwise. That makes sense to me, what he's saying. Now, the intrigue is, Sir Jim Ratcliffe was spoken to by Dan Roan from the BBC the other day. I actually saw Dan Roan at the airport. I think it might have even been ahead of this interview. So he was asked about whether he's got faith in Erik ten Hag. And he says, I don't want to answer that question. I like Erik. I think he's a very good coach. But at the end of the day, it's not my call. And he went on to elaborate on that. And he spoke about Omar Barada and Dan Ashworth not being in the job very long. And obviously getting United to where they need to be and that kind of thing. So it wasn't like it was I've not got faith in him. It wasn't like it was a resounding yes. It was kind of on the fence. Now, it depends on how you look at it. If I'm Erik ten Hag, you probably wanted a little bit more from Jim Ratcliffe. You probably wanted him to be a bit more emphatically behind you, but I don't think he was against Erik ten Hag. I feel like it was a bit, again, it's one of those, right? Do you remember when we went through that whole stage of Sir Jim Ratcliffe versus Sheikh Jassim in terms of the ownership? And you had all these articles and stories and quotes coming out, and it was like whichever way you wanted to interpret it, you could interpret it the way you wanted to. So you could say, this means Sheikh Jassim is going to take over because of this, or this means Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to take over because of this. It was the same with the Mason Greenwood thing. It's like, oh, this means Greenwood's coming back, or this means he's leaving, depending on how you wanted to interpret those quotes. And I think it is a similar thing here with what Sir Jim Ratcliffe said about Erik ten Hag. However you want to interpret it, you can do. Now, I don't really think it tells you too much at the minute, or other than there is a discussion to be had. There is obviously a discussion on this manager's future, because we know that Manchester United have had their worst ever Premier League start, and I believe the last worst Premier League start was under Erik ten Hag as well. I think he's broke his own record, so that doesn't look too great for him. So there is that. There's also the fact we're not scoring goals. We can get into that as well, because he was asked about that. We've scored 5 goals this season in the Premier League. That is unreal. I did a tweet earlier. Danny Welbeck's got 4, and Manchester United have got 5. Someone said Mbuemo's got 6. I need to check that one out. That says a lot, doesn't it? I think Ipswich have scored more than us. It's just our goal scoring record this season has been shocking. Unless it's against Barnsley or Southampton, then we struggle. So he's been asked, Erik, why can't you score a goal? 5 all season in the Premier League. Only Southampton have scored fewer. You've got expensive strikers. Are they not good enough? What's the reason you can't score goals? So he says, that, I mean, whoever's asked that question isn't mincing the words there, are they, to be fair? That will come. More reasons. Sometimes it's the form. Rasmus Højlund is just in the season. He's not up to 100% fitness, match fitness, and he is our goal scorer. I would say our best goal scorer, but also others. We know they can score goals like Rashford, but he scored in Porto. He had a good assist in Porto. Today he created 2 very good chances. I think Garnacho is all season already a threat, but also scoring and assisting. Bruno has ability to score goals, so we will get there, and we trust the players. One day it will click. That's quite disconcerting. One day it will click. I mean, maybe I'll put that down to, a bit of translation or whatever, the way he sort of worded it. But one day it will click doesn't exactly fill me with confidence. One day it'll click. Maybe, that day may come soon. It may come in a few months. Who knows? It did look a little, that's not the greatest quote, to be honest with you. But again, this is a manager who's in a press conference under a bit of pressure. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Kieran says, ten Hag, we're in a long-term project. Do we have decades then? Ian Warren says, we're 14th in the league. It's not hard, this. Paulo Vilts says he won't be sacked. Have we got the footage of Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy? Have we got that tweet? Can we find that tweet? Have you seen that? Just if you put a search in Ruud and Erik ten Hag, because there's a lot of intrigue at the minute on what's going to happen and whether Ruud van Nistelrooy is like the manager in waiting. I was talking about this. I think I spoke about this on the members vlog I did. I was over in Porto, and basically, you saw in the first half against Porto that Ruud got booked, and it felt very much like just that image of Ruud getting booked and him being very animated, and Erik ten Hag sort of sat there not really saying much. Felt like a bit, I don't know, almost like he was the manager in waiting. And then you can see this here. This is a tweet. I think this has come from United diehard fans. Them two having a discussion. Now, the interesting thing about this is it's completely meaningless, right? This footage now we are looking at doesn't tell you anything, all right? Doesn't tell you this isn't. Doesn't tell you that they're having a row. Doesn't tell you they're agreeing. Doesn't tell you that Ruud van Nistelrooy's lost faith in him. Doesn't tell you Erik ten Hag doesn't vibe with Ruud van Nistelrooy. It tells you nothing, okay? The thing with this is people are looking at it now. People are quoting it. People are going, look at this now. I think René Hacker's also involved in the conversation as well. So people are looking for this now with Ruud van Nistelrooy. And I feel like it is gathering momentum and it is becoming a thing. And I was going to say there, against Porto at full time, Ruud van Nistelrooy always get his name sung, not just because he's the assistant manager of Manchester United or whatever his official role is, but because he's Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's a club legend. And he came over sort of towards the away fans. Now, so did the manager. The manager sort of stopped a little bit, sort of around the centre circle. It felt like Ruud carried on walking, came closer, and sort of took the applause. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. But again, I'm getting the vibe like, is this the manager in waiting? Is this the guy that's going to take over? I don't know. I don't know. I pride myself on not being ITK, but there's a lot of sort of rumours and doing the rounds and a lot of people on socials and a lot of suggestions, and I get it because we've all said it. I said it myself. If Erik ten Hag gets sacked, the most likely candidate to take over, at least in an interim or caretaker basis, is Ruud van Nistelrooy. He's got managerial experience. He's a club legend, so the fans will probably stomach it, and he's already at the club. However, there was a story this morning, I think in the Mirror, that he's a bit reluctant to be seen as stabbing Erik ten Hag in the back. He had that himself at PSV where he felt people working behind him or against him. So that might not be the case. Let me know what you think. I want to know what you guys think. Let's have a discussion. Lewis says, love your work, Jay. Appreciate that, Lewis. Santa Notch says, two blokes talking. Wow, exactly. It's great. But that's all it is. It's the reason I highlight that clip isn't because I think it tells you anything. It's because of the reaction to it. People are saying, look, this proves this. It doesn't prove anything. Like, honestly. Steve Owen says, United fans online are the worst. Beck says, two guys trying to figure out how to win. DB Cooper says, Erik might be saying, can you believe how shit Højlund's first touch is? And Ruud could be saying, at least Lukaku won some physical battles. We simply don't know. 20 Legend says, why is everyone so convinced Ruud would be a wonderful manager? He'd sort everything out. That is a good question. I'm not, I don't know if he would be a wonderful manager. Me personally, I think if he took over, there's the argument that maybe you get that new managerial bounce. Maybe he just gives everyone a lift. We saw it with Ole when he came in after Jose. The difference with Ole is Ole came in and there was an obvious thing to fix that Jose hadn't fixed. The obvious thing to fix with Ole was A, put Paul Pogba back in the side regularly and move him a little bit further forward and have that midfield of Herrera, Matic and Pogba, which just seemed to work straight away, if you remember that initial run. B, he sort of went with his front three. I think it was Greenwood, Martial and Rashford, or it might have been Greenwood a bit later. I think initially, I can't remember who was on the right-hand side. It might have been Lingard, I can't remember who he used, but he found a quick, easy balance. And also, a lot of people had been sort of despondent, had fell out with the manager. He put an arm around him. Everything's going to be all right. Great, everyone performs. And you had players there that could perform. The issue is, have we got players that aren't quite up to it? Let's talk about the centre-back, because before the game, that was a big talking point. He's asked about it. I mean, to be fair to Erik ten Hag, he was questioned about the centre-backs. I don't think whatever the issue was today was the centre-backs. Johnny Evans got man of the match. It was fantastic. Harry Maguire, before he went off, didn't really put a foot wrong. Then we had Matthijs de Ligt came on, didn't do anything wrong. So I don't think the centre-backs were an issue, but before the game, it was a big talking point. He was asked about it. You change centre-backs, explain the thinking behind it. Johnny Evans played very well, but it's unusual to see Martinez and de Ligt both out of the team. His first word there answers it, doesn't it? Rotation. We have loads of games. We have to rotate them. The freshness, and I think it was a good decision today. I like that. I think it was a good decision today. I'm proud of myself. I think the performances from Harry Maguire and Johnny Evans were very solid, but also I think Matthijs de Ligt came in at half-time, and was very solid. Yeah, it kind of worked, didn't it? I don't think that you can question that. He's been asked this before about putting Martinez at left back and switching Delot rather than Lindelof at right back. Of course, you take everything into consideration, but there were some more reasons. Then you have to change the back four totally. That is one. And Johnny Evans, I didn't know if he would come to an end and I would have to sub again. So yeah, it's always about consideration. 1-for-1 was the best idea. That worked. I think you can criticise Erik ten Hag about a lot of things, but I think he got his defensive sort of choices today. When a defender, when a centre-back you brought in as a bit of a surprise gets man of the match, I don't think you can question that. I don't. I think you've got to go, right, okay, you got that right. He did. And also, let's not forget, I mean, I looked at it before the game started, I thought that's a bit odd, but de Ligt and Martinez looked well off the pace against Porto. They were getting bullied. And I don't know whether that's the knackered, whatever, they just look suffering from lack of form, come up against players that had the number. I don't know, but I understand why, with hindsight now, looking at why he's done it, it worked. Let's talk about Marcus Rashford, everyone's favourite topic. He was asked about this. Can we get that Marcus Rashford? Has anyone got that Marcus Rashford clip as well? Has anyone seen that? If you go on my Twitter, I've tweeted it. So can you find my Twitter? I'd have tweeted him about that. And find the Marcus Rashford clip. I want to dig that out in a minute. He says that he was asked about Marcus. Do you think Marcus Rashford was a bit lucky to stay on the pitch today to not get a second yellow card, but just in terms of the current climate, is it much better to actually have a referee with a bit of common sense to make that decision? It was maybe a second foul, but that would be very harsh. But yeah, you can have the feeling in an away stadium, and when you make another one, then you have to hope for refereeing what you're doing. So I thought if it was the best idea, take him off to protect the team, but also protect him. The referee didn't communicate that to you, that you should take him off or anything like that. No, that is not what referees are doing. No, I don't think. No. Right. Am I missing something? I've been watching football, right, for 39 years. I've never, as a ref, the refs tell managers, you better take him off because he's going to get sent off. Yeah, I know that happens at, like, the soccer dome, but I don't think that happens in the Premier League. Oh, we subbed him off because the ref suggested it. That would mean you've lost the bloody plot. Have you got my tweet on this Marcus Rashford reaction? Because, again, people making something out of this. We're in this stage now where everything's summit in it. So Rashford's saying he's gone mad. And for starters, I don't even know if he is saying he's gone mad. He could be saying, I don't know, mate. Yeah, look, I don't know, mate. Don't know, mate. Or he's gone mad. He's gone mad. Or I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Someone said, right, Diallo. He said, I'm not mad. So you don't know, dear. This is the point, right? You don't know. You don't know why we all turn into lip readers and body language experts and Erik ten Hag and Ruud van Nistelrooy have had a massive row. What? Marcus Rashford's fed up with the manager or whatever. You don't know what that means. It's okay to say that. We've got enough things to moan about without looking for things that aren't there. Sorry. Yeah, it just, C-Fence says refs do that at non-league level. Yeah, they do, don't they? That's fair. Santa Notch, thank you, Santa Notch. Another clip that meant absolutely nothing. It doesn't mean anything, does it? Let's be honest. We can spend all day looking at that and interpret it how it wants, and it's completely fucking meaningless. Lazio Punaflex says, looks like I don't mind spam. To me. Yeah, it could be. It could be anything. There's this meeting planned. Have we got anything on this meeting? Try and find I think Laurie Whitwell or someone might have spoken about the fact there is a meeting planned next week with INEOS and Joe Glazer are said to have a meeting. Apparently it was already in the diary, so I don't know, how much you can look into it, but obviously they're going to have a meeting, and you'd expect Erik ten Hag to be on the agenda there. Can we all have a look and see if we can find something on that? And if we can we get it on the screen? As soon as you get it on the screen, stick it on there. Because whether they're backing the manager or not, you'd expect there to be some sort of discussion. Jesse Lingard, I don't know if it was these, Jesse Lingard says, I'm available. He could be talking about the refs as now. Duggan's going back to the Marcus Rashford clip. Yeah, he could have been talking about the referee. He could have been talking about anything. Abiyaz Mohammed says, sack ten Hag now. I mean, look, we're at this stage where there's no denying that Erik ten Hag is on a bit of a tightrope, yeah? He is having a time of it, and he's under a lot of pressure. And I don't know how much pressure will have been alleviated by a 0-0 against Aston Villa. Only INEOS, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, Omar Barada, Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox, and maybe Joe Glazer. I know he's not INEOS, but Joe Glazer apparently is involved in this meeting. Will know what they decide to do. So Terry Fleurs, who said Erik ten Hag is scheduled for crisis talks with Manchester United. Sources confirmed the meeting is taking place tonight. I like Terry. I've spoken to Terry. I don't know how concrete that is. I don't know whether you can hang your hat on that one. We'll have to wait and see. But maybe there is going to be crisis talks. Theo Van Gang says, I like Erik ten Hag and I'd love nothing more than him turning things around. I just don't see it. Sir Alex Ferguson wouldn't have got the time in 2024. It's just how it is. I'll name this podcast later. Says, I just want to say, Jay Carragher and pundits alike are not saying anything because they want United to succeed. They thrive on the animosity around United. Lucky Singh says, get rid of Bruno Fernandes. Lindelof in January. Sean Brown says, sack him. Lewis on a Sunday evening. I think, here we go. Laurie Whitwell says, an occasion that will slip from the mind quickly, but significant nonetheless for Erik ten Hag. A competent United after the chaos of Spurs and Porto should ease the pressure a little. Sir Jim Ratcliffe watched from the stands. Now on to meetings in Manchester and London. Yeah, there are going to be meetings. I think they're this week. So I don't know about I'm not, questioning Terry Fleurs. He might have his sources. I don't know if anyone else is reporting that about crisis talks tonight. I think there's a meeting planned this week. So I don't think, for me, there will be necessarily a meeting tonight. I think that meeting will take place. Don't forget, we've got an international break. So it'll be a perfect time to have a meeting, discuss what's going on, and decide whether you want to keep or twist when it comes to the manager. Solo in the chat says, big up Jay. This is rock bottom. Good to see Solo from United Agenda. I'm going to leave it there. If you're not doing so already, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 800,000 subscribers by the end of the week. With your support, we can get there as well. I'm going to be back outside Old Trafford tomorrow morning with the latest news. Any updates, we will give you and let you know what is going on. Jed's dead baby says a draw away at Villa isn't a bad result in isolation. It's the thing in isolation, but we have to look at the context. In the context, everything at the minute is all going wrong at Manchester United. Also, hit a like, please, people. Loads of you watching. We've not even got to 100 likes. That is a disgrace. Smash the like. Thank you, everyone, as well, that's got involved in the chat and the comments. If you're not doing it already, go and check out Howson's reaction, check out mine and Scotty's reaction, all that good stuff as well. And check out the members section. Extra content on the members section, including my vlog from Porto. I'm Jay Motty. This has been a bit of press conference reaction. Thanks for watching.